Welcome back to The Five. Well, Sean Hannity has a big special tonight, examining President Obama's autobiography, Dreams from My Father. Now, although it was first published in 1995, the contents have largely been ignored by the mainstream media. Take a listen to Obama in his own words describing part of his college experience.
Political discussions, the kind that at Occidental had once seemed so intense and purposeful, came to take on the flavor of the socialist conferences I sometimes attended at Cooper Union, or the African cultural fairs that took place in Harlem and Brooklyn during the summers. A few of the many diversions New York had to offer, like going to a foreign film or ice skating at Rockefeller Center.
Well, the Hannity crew then took to the streets to see how people feel about the president attending socialist gatherings.
How do you feel about that?
Concerning.
How do you feel about the president hanging out with Marxists when he was a young man?
I've personally hung out with some bad people, so I don't think it's that bad of a thing as long as he's not with them today.
Wow, I did not know that.
I do not respect that. Do not agree with that.
Wow. Yeah, that's pretty deep there.
Doesn't make sense to me at all. Like, why hang out with Marxists?
But if you call him a socialist today, liberals' heads blow off. Okay, Leslie, so the reason Hannity's doing this is because the president wasn't really vetted in 2008. Would you agree with that? We really didn't get a look at who he was, and a lot of members of the media didn't read Dreams from My Father?
Are you saying that we have to read a book that he wrote prior to 1995 when it was published to know who we're voting for? Whatever happened to personal responsibility as voters? We have the responsibility to inform ourselves then as we do now. And I agree with Dana. Most people have made up their minds, and the small portion that hasn't don't care what he did in college or what Romney did in college.
But a lot of people don't know. I mean, you saw the man on the street interviews. A lot of people were like...
So you're helping book sales?
Not book sales, but maybe that people will be educated. All right, I want to take a listen to this sound from Obama talking about, which a lot of people may know or may not know, about his past drug use.
I spent the last 2 years of high school in a daze, locking away the questions that life seemed insistent on posing. I kept playing basketball, attended classes sparingly, drank beer heavily, and tried drugs enthusiastically. I discovered that it didn't make any difference whether you smoked reefer in the white classmate's sparkling new van, or in the dorm room with some brother you'd met down at the gym, or on the beach with a couple of Hawaiian kids who had dropped out of school and now spent most of their time looking for an excuse to brawl.
Minus the basketball part, I thought that was Bob Beckles.
Yeah. We had a great time back then, I have to say. We had a gas. We don't actually say gas anymore. But you know what? I don't care. Like, I'm with you, Leslie. I don't care about what you do in high school. Or college. I'd be a complete hypocrite. I'd be a complete hypocrite up until age 40, I think, if I condemned whatever he said. Well, you know, I stay young.
So you won't be running for public office
never.
anytime.
But here's the thing. It's not about me. It's not about Obama. It's not about Romney. It's about how the media looks at these things. And if you want to look at it, the sharpest distinction, look at Sarah Palin's emails. The Washington Post, The Guardian, The New York Times crowdsourced those emails to their readers to find dirt on Sarah Palin. These are the same people who did not read Barack Obama's book. So it doesn't mean anything until you compare it to something else. And then you see how silly it is. He should have changed the name of the book to Bet You Won't Read This, You Jerk.
Oh,
it's true.
But isn't that true, though, the double standard when you look at George Bush, how he was treated, the outrage over his drug use, it was a big issue. But is it fair? Okay, you're a different person, as Greg said, when you're 16 than when you're 41, right? Obama's very different. George Bush is very different. Bob Beckles Bob Beckles not very different from when he was 16. So is it fair, Eric?
Of course it's fair. It wasn't vetted. He wasn't vetted the first time, and I'm going to stay consistent because in the last block I said it should be up to the super PACs to do some of this vetting of what went on. With the other things we were talking about. This is a good opportunity for the super PACs to go and say, hey, this is what we missed the first time around. This may explain why the guys used the executive order 122 times in 3.5 years, why he's so aggressive with the NLRB, with the EPA, with the Department of Justice to redistribute the wealth, health care, basically a socialist agenda. Maybe there are things in his past, and if you listen to a lot more of these sound bites, you see these little inklings of socialism, fairness, class warfare. They spring up throughout. Why not?
Right. Dana, I want to ask you, was this a whole PR trick by the president to write the book, right, so he could inoculate himself from anything? So when he was asked about it when he ran, he can say, oh, I already talked about it. It's in my book.
I don't know for sure, but I think not. I think that he really needed to write this about his father. actually, and he was gaining in popularity. I don't think he necessarily knew he was going to run for president. I think that all came more suddenly. But I do want to say one thing though. So President Bush, when he opens up his book post-presidency about the decision when he was on his 40th birthday, or the morning after, where he decided to never drink again. If you look at the soundbite that we played about President Obama and how the road he was going down in high school, I think it's actually commendable to think that he turned himself around. And look at what, now he's the president of the United States. He's married, he's got 2 girls. And even if we disagree with his policies, at least that he could have gone down a very different road. We might not have never heard of Barack Obama if he hadn't made a better decision about how to spend his life.
Well, he goes on to. We don't have time.
Eric's not buying it.
Eric's not buying it.
He's like biting the inside of his cheek.
Well, fine.
Well, I mean, I agree. I agree with you, but I also do. I kind of see both sides. The fact is, you do get the sense of a hit of the faculty lounge mentality that is now kind of infesting the government. I mean, we used to talk about the military-industrial complex. Now it's the government education complex. We're all run by people who are, teachers and academics who have very left-wing ideas. So I agree with you, but I also say he's admitting to this stuff in his book. Whether he knew it or not, it was a good inoculation.
And at some point, don't most people stop? Don't most people quit doing drugs at a certain age?
Well, remember they held the
president doing drugs now. I mean, come on. If it's wrong, if we're saying, we don't want to hear about Mitt Romney and bullying. I don't want to hear about former President Bush and drinking and drugs.
But it helps you understand a person. It helps you understand their decision making. And a lot of people didn't buy Dreams of My Father until after the 2004 Democratic Convention. Then they bought it. They didn't read it. They put it on their shelf
to look cool in their dorm room.
It's like Brief History of Time.
I read it.
But if you read it very quickly, if I believe in this biblical principle was to know the Son, you need to know the Father. And I encourage everybody to read this book. There's so much more that we didn't get to. It will tell you exactly who Barack Obama is.
Do you think he was uncomfortable reading this? I mean, putting his voice on tape for this book?
No.
Had to be uncomfortable. No?
All right. I gotta go. Don't forget to tune into Hannity tonight at 9 p.m. Eastern for the full special. I had to go, Eric. I couldn't disagree. On the president's own words. Coming up, Hollywood star Will Smith is not getting jiggy with the idea of paying 75% in taxes, and we'll show you what happened on a French TV show.
850 IS if you need a lift. Who's the kid in the drop? Who else? Will Smith. Living that life, some consider a myth. Rock from South Street to 125th. Women used to tease me, give it to me now nice and easy. Since I moved up like George and Wheezy, cream to the max.